All right, so good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. Bear with us on this particular episode, guys. We did experience a little bit of tech type issues leading into it. There have been a lot of updates to our broadcast software and to Zoom. Obviously, you guys probably all know that. If you're using it at all, they've been jumping up with new updates pretty much on an hourly basis, it feels like. And there were some glitches in Live Producer as well. So we're rolling through it, but live video, we expect there to be glitches, no question. So I am Adam Smith, and I'm your host with Just the Tips Coaching. And with me, as always, is one of our other coaches and our marketing director, Jen Wayboer. Good morning, Jen.
Good morning.
And we've got a really cool guest for you guys today. We're pretty excited to have Josh Gilbert on the show with us. We've had this one scheduled for some time. Good morning, Josh, and welcome.
Good morning, man. How you doing?
We're doing okay, despite the state of the world. Certainly crazy times. It seems we're being thrown new national or global or local problems on an hourly basis as well. Maybe that's how Zoom is timing their updates. Every time
Right.
we have a major problem, Zoom's going to work on their software.
Right.
But yeah, Josh, tell us a little bit about you. Give us a little background about you. You're a real estate agent for those in our audience or your audience that don't already know, although frankly everybody in your audience should know.
Yeah.
And yeah, how long have you been at it? Where did you get your start? What made you think that doing something this monumental was going to be a good idea? Hit us with all the deeds.
Sure. So I guess I got to give you the cliff notes for that because it's a little bit of a longer story. So I got my start in real estate kind of, I mean, in the nicest way possible, kind of like out of desperation. I know that sounds weird, but I was going to school at Boulder. I'm a communications major there. And, you know, I'm one of the unlucky ones who had student loans. So as graduation was approaching, I was applying for jobs. All my friends were getting jobs, and I just didn't have any prospects. I was dating a girl at the time. Her dad was a pretty prominent real estate investor who did a lot of like public trustee foreclosure flips. And he kind of brought me on as his assistant, and I learned the foreclosure process. I learned how to kind of go with that. And then, you know, I was talking to him, kind of having a heart-to-heart one day, and I said, you know, I really got to figure something out. And he said, why don't you get your real estate license? And to be quite honest with you, I really didn't. I didn't really know what to think of it. I kind of thought like real estate as like used car salesman. I was like, yeah, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll do it for like a little bit. So I got my license, and thankfully, because he had all these flips, I was able to do open homes every weekend. And it turned out that it kind of combined a bunch of things that I really like. I'm an architectural nerd. Like, I love building things. I do woodworking in a spare time. But I also love talking to people. You know, I like to say there's not many things I do well, but one thing I'm pretty confident I do well is I believe I'm good at talking to people. And it really was kind of surprising to me that I ended up being good at it. So I kind of figured, you know, hey, I've got a good thing going for the time being. Why not stick with this? And, you know, I've been an active agent here in the Denver area. I work all over the state, but been an active agent for about 5 years now.
Okay. And tell us who you work for. I mean, not who we know you work for your clients. And for those of you watching,
Yeah.
no matter who you actually work for, if you're in a sales gig that's direct to consumer, you work for that consumer. They're the ones who really pay you.
Sure.
But what company are you with? Let's go there.
Sure. So right now I'm with Compass Colorado Realty.
Okay.
I have my own kind of company and brand called the Gilbert Company that's housed there. But yeah, so it's the Gilbert Company at Compass Colorado.
All right. Well, let's actually address that for a second because it is something that Jen and I and our other coach preach all the time, and something that we certainly probably don't cover enough on How I Met Your Mortgage. But what I'm hearing you say, and what I certainly want our audience to hear you say, is that you are essentially maintaining all of your own assets from the company name on down, the Josh Gilbert program, and that probably includes website, email, social media channels, so on and so forth. So for those of you watching, if Josh ever wants to unplug from Compass and go to, let's say, a Remax or a Keller or whatever the case may be, nobody knows. He just takes all of those assets with him, his team. I assume there is one, and let's get into that in a second here. But his website, his email address, his database, everything that you guys should be maintaining on your own when you're working for a company that you are not the owner of. And you can literally unplug from one company, shift and plug into another company. And none of your clients, none of your advocates, none of your leads, none of your referral partners ever know the difference. Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, so that is an important piece of this puzzle for everybody in our audience that way. But since we kind of touched on it, tell us about your team structure. Is it just you? Are there other agents? Do you have some support staff? What does that look like?
So right now it's just me. Okay. I mean, there is plans to obviously build a team. There is plans to grow it. I'm really happy with kind of being housed under Compass Colorado. Like it's a great group of people there. So for right now, I think I'm going to stay there for a while. I haven't really given much thought to leaving, but there is thoughts of growing the brand, if you will.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And that's the goal for every one of our coaching clients as well. One of the modules we cover is team structure. And that's mostly Rob, and Rob's coached me on that as well. But the problem we find, and this is going to be true for you as well, Josh, is that you guys watching, you don't have a business. You have a job. And if you don't get up every morning and go do your job, there's no business. And I'm in that same wheelhouse too with our mortgage company, with our mortgage brokerage. If I don't get up and do my job every day, then all the people that work for me don't have a job. There is no business. So the goal for our coaching clients is to get to a point where you actually do have a business. You want to disappear for a month? Your business continues to operate or even grow? Then so be it. That should be the long-term goal for people that are in this kind of a role, whether you're a real estate agent, a mortgage originator, an insurance agent, a financial planner. The idea here is to eventually build a business, a real business. And then you're given the freedom. If you, and our coaching clients that have been through this know this, and people that have attended the Mile High Mastermind coming up here soon know this because Rob speaks on this stuff regularly at that event. The goal here is to have a business where you don't have to participate if you don't want, but when the time comes, if you want to interject yourself into any particular avenue of your business, you can. You want to do lead gen, you want to do closing, you want to work on tech, you want to work on systems, you want to do some sales management, whatever the case may be, that you can interject your business on any level that you wish because it's a business. It's not a job. All right.
Yes.
I'm going to get back down off my soapbox now.
I love it.
This is a big deal to me, and this is certainly a personal goal, and hopefully one of all of our wonderful coaching clients that they all want to get to this same place. Yeah. So I get a little vocal about that particular subject. No question. All right, so 5 years' time. And tell us, what did it look like when you started out from a lead gen perspective? Were you cold calling? Were you door knocking? Were you kind of following the path of what new real estate agents do? And we know 80% of them are already gone. Of the people that started in your group 5 years ago, 80% of them are gone. So tell us, what did that look like for you when you first got into the game?
Yeah. So when I was green, as they say, I was trying everything, really. I mean, because I didn't know what I was good at. I knew I liked to talk to people. But I didn't know if that meant talking to people on the phone, if it meant door knocking, if it meant open houses. So I tried everything. And I've had everything happen to me. I've had doors slammed in my face. I've been hung up on several times. It's the one thing that I found was my strength was open houses. One, because it allowed me to get face to face with somebody. Anytime you're face to face, I mean, this is going to sound very hippie or, kind of eccentric maybe, but I'm a believer in energy, and there is an energy exchange that I think is, pretty powerful if it's done right. I recognize that. The other thing was, if someone comes into an open house, they're at least interested, whether it's a neighbor, they're at least interested in the property to some degree, and you can talk about them. I take the approach, and again, it kind of comes from, we can go into this a little bit later, but like, it kind of comes from like a really, more of an anti-sales approach, in the sense where I always say, play to your strengths. If you're not good at door knocking, don't do door knocking, because you want to come off natural and passionate about what you do. I'm terrible at cold calling. I am terrible at door knocking. I wasn't doing door hangers. I wasn't doing brochures. Pretty much exclusively after, I would say, about 4 months of trial and error, I realized open houses were my thing. And going back to it with my then girlfriend's, father, luckily I had all these houses I could do open houses. So I was actually doing usually about 6 in a weekend. So 2 per day, 2 on Friday, 2 Saturday, 2 Sunday.
That's a lot. We certainly promote open house activity. Again, different strokes for different folks, and that shit doesn't work for everybody. Sure. But I think one of the big misconceptions about open houses is that there's still a lot of people in the real estate community and the real estate agent community who think that the tactical approach to an open house is to sell the house. Right. That's the end game. And it's not. For those of you listening, the lead gen activities that you're doing during an open house, meeting new people, adding to your contact database, forming the toehold of relationships for people that may very well be clients, leads, or advocates in a year or 2 or 5 or 10. Yes. Is why we do the open houses. So the tactical activities of driving as much traffic as you can, doing good data capture, those kinds of things are really where you guys should be focusing on your open house activities because, well, certainly in the Denver market and pretty much every other urban corridor coast to coast right now, we're not having problems selling houses.
No, the market's pretty good right now. It's been pretty good during the pandemic.
If you have houses that you're listing, those of you watching, and they're not selling, they're priced too high. That's it. That's the only issue. That's the only reason we have such a major housing shortage.
Yeah.
I would assume that most major metropolitan areas probably compare to the Denver market and the Denver metro area. And I know statistically speaking that a healthy real estate inventory, no matter the market, is a 6-month inventory. Anchorage, Alaska, Mobile, Alabama. In order for that to happen in the 7 metro counties that make up the Denver metro area, we would need something close to 30,000 properties for sale at any given time. And we've hovered between 4,000 and 9,000 for what's probably 5 or more years now.
Right, yeah.
So major housing shortage, huge supply and demand issue. It's great if you own real estate. It's pushing the values up and up. But yeah, we're not having any problems selling houses right now. There's no need to do an open house if you think you need to do it to sell the house. But
Correct.
If you guys are really exercising solid lead gen techniques and tactics, open houses can be amazing. I mean, so can other things like door knocking and cold calling. I don't want to knock those activities.
Yes.
And we'll never judge anybody for the types of activities they want to do in their lead gen. We only judge them if they don't actually do it.
Yes. Yeah, you got to actually put in the work.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So open houses right now are a thing of the past, right? Are you even allowed to do them?
Don't think. You know what?
Don't think so.
None
Nobody
of
knows.
us know. We don't know. You can if you're wearing a full biohazard suit and you brought 3
Right.
gallons or more of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like the rules are always consistently like changing, or we're not very clear. I know we're allowed to do showings because I'm doing them and everyone else is, but open houses, I'm not sure.
I know there was a brief window where you couldn't even see a house unless you made an offer on it, but the roller coaster ride of what has and hasn't been essential in real estate in Colorado is making me nauseous.
Sure.
All right. So knowing that we're not really doing open houses, or at least we haven't for some time, even if we're allowed to now, what have your Corona era lead gen activities looked like, Josh?
So again, this is going to sound a little crazy. My business really hasn't changed during the pandemic, and even kind of as we're opening things up now. Whether that be luck or whether that just be the market.
Positioning yourself, having worked hard for 5 years. Yeah, we get it.
Well, yeah. And
all of the above.
Yeah, and I think I think this kind of goes into how I approach clients. I mean, is the way I lead gen. So about almost close to 100. Yeah, I would say about 90% of my business is referral based at this point. So, and the reason why I think that is because I approach people in, again, a very anti-sales approach. My approach is the house will sell itself. When you like the house, if it's in a good area, if it's what you want. I'm not going to push you into that. I'm simply a guide through this process. And so I think because of that, it's a very, for my buyers especially, it's a much more enjoyable process. They don't feel like they've got this weight on their shoulders, that they've got this agent pressuring them, which I think was the stereotype that I went into this with. So yeah, my lead gen right now, I mean, I had a few clients that put pause, on the whole process, but we're still talking. Okay, we're not buying now, but we're buying, in July or August or September. And again, you just kind of keep following up. When it comes to my clients, it's much more of like a long-term kind of relationship. We get pretty friendly. And so even when,
I smell an HR violation in there somewhere.
Probably, but I mean, it's one of those things where like I like to have fun with what I do, and I like to make it as stress-free as possible. Stress-free as possible. And you just go at them as people as opposed to units or numbers or sales figures. So
and you make a really good point there. One, it's one of the most stressful things an adult American's going to do.
It is.
I can't remember what the top 5 list was, but it was like buying a home, getting a mortgage, boom, boom, moving, and death in the family, and a car accident.
Yeah.
And sadly, we've actually had people get in car accidents on the way to closings. So,
really?
Yeah, because they weren't stressed out enough with the other 3, I guess. So it does happen. But yeah, minimizing the stress and brain damage of the process is certainly crucial to all of it. But I do want to go back to one thing that you said, because you kind of glossed over it because it's second nature to you. But I certainly want to make sure that our audience hears that Josh is exercising a really solid contact management technique. So he's got people that have put their buying, selling, moving processes on hold for the time being. They're going to buy in July. They're going to buy in August, whatever the case may be. And he knows that making sure he's still in contact with these people on a regular, semi-regular, whatever the case may be basis is going to be crucial. And it's not just the people that are in a 90-day window, a 120-day window. We're exercising this with everybody, past clients, leads. Somebody may have reached out to you a year ago. They're going to get ready to buy a house next year. Advocates, referral partners. You guys have got to have good contact management systems in place to make sure that these people aren't falling through the cracks, particularly the people Josh is referring to. And I know I say it all the time, broken record kind of shit here, but if you are not in touch with your clients and leads, they are somebody else's prospects.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed 100%. I mean, you have to, like I said before, you have to, they're not, I think the way of doing business in general, definitely my perspective, but I think as like the new generation of home buyers come in, they look at business and they look at consuming things different. And I just think it's much more relationship based than it is transaction based. So, I mean, yeah, you have to look at them as people. You know, an example of that is I've got a client that's looking to buy in November, December, you know, a pretty long way away. We're talking, you know, on a weekly basis. He's into fitness. I'm into fitness. We're exchanging workouts, you know, that he's doing. He's telling me like, oh, this place ships, you know, dumbbells quicker. I mean, it's literally, you're literally just talking on a friendly level. And I think that's what people are looking for now. They're not looking for the buttoned up salesman who's, you know, buy this house now. And, you know, I just don't think it resonates.
No, absolutely. Yeah, there is none of that going on right now. At least I hope not. And don't get me wrong, there may be some exceptions. We certainly have a lot of clients in the auto industry, and we get a lot of feedback about what's going on in those particular environments. People coming onto the sales floor, salespeople still doing their thing in a relatively limited basis, so on and so forth. But people are walking onto car lots looking for cars, so the car salesman, and granted that has shifted dramatically as years and decades have passed, but for those guys right now it's almost business as usual.
Yeah,
as close as any direct-to-consumer sales relationship I can think of these days.
Yeah, I haven't looked much into that, but as far as like car sales and everything like that, I mean, I'd be interested to kind of read what's the protocol for that, or how are they doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure a lot of it's a struggle, no question. But it is for everybody. You know, and it's just a strange time in the world right now. It's a strange time to be a business owner right now. My heart goes out to all of the restaurant owners, certainly those in the urban corridor that have dealt with the Corona era issues, not being able to have high density now, and then of course the potential for looting or rioting, or their windows being smashed in, or their goods being stolen, whatever the case may be. We've obviously really put those business owners through their paces as of late, but we'll all get through it eventually here. We will.
Yeah.
No question. So bridge the gap for us. You know, we obviously have a pretty good handle on what your business looks like now, your lead gen activities in your business. And we certainly know what you were up to when you first started out. Has that been a mellow transition? Did a light bulb go off one day and you decided, you know, I'm just going to do this differently? You know, what did it look like 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, so it was a big change. I mean, there's definitely been there's been a lot of changes, to be very frank. Since I've started my own kind of brand and shifted companies, my clientele is much more focused, kind of, I would say, at the higher end of the bulk market, approaching luxury listings.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of, or luxury buyers. So right now my average price point is probably around like the $650 to probably $800 range, which is great. You know, it's nice. It's just a different approach. You know what I mean? I got my start, and I still have like a really, really, really soft spot because early on, I just wanted to work with people that were motivated to buy homes and wanted to use me as an agent, because I was psyched about starting this career. And what I found was I worked with a lot of people who were, for the lack of a better word, like kind of tossed away by most agents. You know, in the sense where they were at a lower price point, or a price point that is very, very difficult. The first home I ever sold was actually a $90,000 condo in Aurora.
Love it.
So yeah, and even at like, that was 5 years ago, that was difficult then to find that. And so, and he told me, you know, I still talk to him. He's bought in a couple places since then. But he told me, he's like, I had 3 agents toss me aside. And so that's where I got my start, but there has been a big shift as far as clientele goes. But as far as my approach to actual real estate itself, I don't think that's ever changed, because I walked into it very much. I walked into it very much wanting to be the type of businessman that I would want to sell me a home, or I would want to interact with. And once again, that wasn't the pushy salesman. That was very much like, hey, take your time, no pressure. Like, I'm here if you need me. You know what I mean? This is what I do. This is what I love to do, kind of thing.
Fantastic. Jen, what am I missing? I mean, what else? I know that these episodes just whip by. You've undoubtedly got some questions for Josh, or things you think that he would be able to give to our audience of some value. He and I have been rambling, so we cut you out of the loop completely. You may as well just turn your camera off at this point. We're done. We'll just do the podcast.
Okay, whatever. That's fine. No, I think going back to something Josh said that really resonated with what we coach on is that conversation you're having with somebody who's not looking to buy right now, where you're talking about working out. You're not checking in every week. Hey, are you ready to buy yet? Hey, are you ready to buy yet? Here's a house you might want. You're talking about something that's interesting to them. You're making it a relationship. You're not making it a sales deal. We talk all the time about it's usually 80-20 in your lead generation. 80% who you are, 20% what you do. I actually coach on 90% who you are, 10% what you do. Because especially as millennials are buying houses, we don't care how many certifications you have. We don't care if you can dress in a suit. We care that we can hang out with you and grab a glass of wine, and that we want to spend, this huge transaction with you. So you keep saying like, it's not the salesy approach or whatever, but it should be the sales approach. It should be it's about relationships, not numbers and units. And
right.
And you should absolutely be doing what you're good at, like you said in the beginning, and not trying to do every kind of lead generation. Because if you hate doing open houses, don't do open houses. If you hate cold calling, don't cold call. But whatever you're going to do, just do it consistently.
Absolutely. And I mean, kind of to expand on that point, I think, because I do have a lot of conversations about, millennial buyers as they kind of approach that kind of stage in their life. But one thing that I think that isn't really talked about is consumers now. And when I say consumers, I am talking about like the millennial consumer. They're extremely well educated in what they're going to be purchasing. So almost every single client that I pick up, about 70% of my clients are first-time home buyers. They already know the areas they want. They already know basically the process or the outline of the process of buying a home. They know what to ask for. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And I think that's like testament of, one, like the amount of access that like is available, like an education you can get just at your fingertips. But two, also like the amount of, I would say like motivation and drive. Like, I mean, I'm about to turn 30. So, you always get this kind of thing of like millennials are lazy, millennials are this. It's like, I don't necessarily see that. I just see a different approach. I mean, we're pretty driven. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I mean, that's my little soapbox moment. So
and it should be.
That's my soapbox too. I'm 30, so I get it.
And we used to actually teach a class on hiring millennials. Here was, at one time anyway, an enormous workforce that was well-educated, highly motivated, wanted to make good money. These are the people that make great real estate agents, loan originators, insurance agents. They're hungry, they're smart. Most of them out of college, have great educations, so on and so forth. Yeah, absolutely not something to overlook. And there's one other thing I want to mention before we start wrapping this up. Of all those tools, of all that technology, of all the avenues that somebody could pursue today to identify what they want in a home, what they want in a neighborhood, bedrooms, bathrooms, decor, all of that, they're doing the same research on you. Not just you,
absolutely.
Josh, but all of you watching me, Jen, everybody. So make sure that you are exercising what Jen's telling you about this 80-20, 90-10 rule. People still still want to work with people they know, like, and trust. Make sure you are using your phone, your blog, your email campaigns, your social media platforms to get that shit across to people.
Yes.
Right? Who you really are. And for those of you watching now or listening live or in syndication, Josh has done a great job of that. He's given us some really good insight, some honest, authentic insight into who he is. Please follow that lead. All right. So, Josh, more importantly, we do get some consumerism in our viewership. Give us the highlights on how people can reach you, man.
Sure. Yeah. If you want to reach me, the best way is probably through the website, which is thegilbertcompany.com. You can also find us on Instagram, which is The Gilbert Company, or Facebook / The Gilbert Company. I will say this, as a millennial, I do struggle with social media because I'm so busy. So if there is someone who's watching that's a social media manager, content creator, and wants to contact me, please do so. But you can find all my information on those.
Sounds like Josh needs a VA, Jen.
Yep, sounds like it, for sure.
Well, Josh, thank you for being here. I can't express it enough. And thank you for helping us hammer out some of those tech issues we were having. We're so glad that we were able to communicate about that early. Jen and I were both like, wow, how do we integrate all this software today, brand new? So after 3 years of doing the show. So, yeah, we get those changes. That